Okay, I see we are recording. It is in progress. So welcome to everyone who has joined us this morning. This is our first Rock Hill online TIM team meeting. We completed a couple successful meetings yesterday, and we have 2 today and 2 tomorrow, and take a week off and then finish up the last 3 out of 10. So these have gone well so far. And again, if there's someone that wasn't able to join us for this live, will be recorded and they will be available on our website. So just to let you know that that's an option for you down the road. You see the first slide is up there talking about the South Carolina TIM network. This is our traffic incident management network. You'll see 3 photographs in the bottom there. The one on the bottom left is the Shep guys up in Greenville doing a demonstration for us. Very, very neat stuff. They push, pull, drag, do whatever they need to do to get the roadway cleared up. In the middle, we are having a Rock Hill meeting right now. In the middle was a former Rock Hill meeting. We did a tabletop, which is what we quite often do in the face-to-face meetings. And we look forward to getting back to face-to-face meetings sometime in 2021 or 2024, 2030, whenever we can start doing that again. And we'll do some more tabletops. It gives you a good two-dimensional look at what we're talking about with obstructed roadways and wreck scenes and how we can safely set up and operate, and we get to go home at the end of the incident. Picture in the bottom right is the Howe Springs response truck. The chief down there, along with many of us, realizes how important traffic incident management is, so he repurposed an F-250, had it wrapped, put 100 cones in the back. He's got a message board sign on the top of that he can program any message he wants into, and it tows a trailer with a full-size message board sign. He's made that available to every agency in his region, and he's just south of Florence. Personally, that department does not cover any interstate, but if there's a wreck that's bad enough on the interstate and any other agency, highway patrol, county fire, county sheriff, municipal police, any other agency that needs the services of that truck and the cones and the message boards, he makes that equipment available to them. So that is one heck of a neat item that he's put together there, and we certainly encourage other agencies, if you're looking at that, get a hold of Chief Billy Dillon at the Howe Springs Fire Department over in Florence County. Next slide, please. Next, there we go. Okay. Anyway, lots of disciplines hopefully participating in this here today. We are Parsons Corporation, and we have a contract to work closely with the South Carolina Department of Transportation to handle traffic incident management training, the SHARP 2 program, and the TIM team meetings in the state of South Carolina. That's why we are here today. We're trying to get these meetings going again. We generally have face-to-face meetings, a full set of 10 in the spring and a set of 10 in the fall. Unfortunately, there are still some limitations with certain agencies regarding travel. So we all put our heads together and felt that this might be a good approach to replace the face-to-face meetings. And so far, it's worked out pretty well. We'll talk in just a minute about the agencies and the disciplines that we need to participate in this program, why these meetings are important. This is a great networking opportunity for everyone. You don't want to meet people for the first time on the scene. You want to get together and know people, know their face. I'm horrible with names, but a face, you walk up to me and I've met you before, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to remember you. And especially when I was out working wreck scenes over a quarter of a century with the fire service and over a decade in law enforcement. I mean, it was great that I'd roll up on a wreck scene and I'd know people. Hey, Matt. Hey, Chris, how you doing? This is what we need to get done. You already had a good relationship with these people, whatever discipline and agency they were with, and you worked well together. So today's agenda, we're going to go through a little bit of a statistical presentation from me, and then I'm going to pass the torch to Kevin Smith, who's another Parsons project manager out of our Peachtree Corners in Atlanta, that office, and he's going to talk about law enforcement distracted driving and the consequences of that. That's a very interesting presentation. And then the torch will get passed to Jay Cox with DHEC, and he's going to talk about what DHEC can do, when you call them, what they can't do, what they're not supposed to do, what they'll help with, what they can't help with. I mean, this is important information we need to know, because every once in a while, son of a gun, we get those bad hazmat situations, and we've got to get a hold of DHEC, and Jay will talk about, the parameters there. So next slide, please. So these are, okay, that's 2 slides. All right. We are working with several agencies at this time and rescheduling, as of the 1st of June, rescheduling Sharp 2 TIM training classes. Had quite a spike in the classes through the month of June, a little bit in July. A lot of the classes that had been postponed or canceled as of the middle of March, and the agencies got back into rescheduling them. We're starting to reschedule more now. We've got one coming up week Saturday, hopefully. I'm told that there's going to be a lot of individuals there for that class, and we're already booking classes through January. So we got lots of available dates. If your agency needs or wants the training, please get in touch with me and let's set this up. Doesn't matter if it's daytime, nighttime, weekend, shift. I've done 4 shifts every Tuesday for a month. I've done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, covering 3 shifts. I mean, we can handle it however you want. We are totally flexible. So please get a hold of me. The only parameters, the only requirements that we have is we've got to have 15 or more participants, and all disciplines must be invited. Any of the training, any of the TIM team meetings, you must get people to register on sctimnetwork.com. That's important. If we don't get enough people, if we only have 8 registered for a class, we need to get a hold of those people and let them know that that class has been canceled. There's nothing worse than driving the distance and showing up for a class and finding out at that point that it's been canceled. So it's important that you register on sctimnetwork.com and let me know, or let us know that you're coming, so that we can let you know if we don't get enough people registered. That's critical. Law enforcement gets 3.5 hours towards their recertification. EMS, this is federal DOT CAPC certified. They get 4 hours towards their national registry recertification. The fire service, of course, will arrange for course code and section numbers through the Fire Academy regional office, and fire service will get credit on their transcript. And that's just in the last couple of years. If you took this class prior to, let's say, May of 2018, you probably did not get any of that. So if you need a refresher, you want to come in and sit through the class again, we welcome you to do that, and you will get hours, as I just mentioned. So that's important. Next slide, please. And let's see, we've got Rock Hill this morning, Charleston this afternoon. You can see the schedule there. Midlands tomorrow morning, then Florence in the afternoon. Then I said we skip a week. I don't know, something going on the 3rd of November. I'm not quite sure what it is. So we skip a week, and then we come back and do our Jasper I-95 and Aiken on the 10th and Orangeburg on the 12th to wrap things up. So again, if there's someone that perhaps wanted to attend, to participate in this meeting, to listen to the information we're sharing, and they weren't able to make it today, have them go on to sctimnetwork.com and have a look at the calendar and see where there is another one, and maybe they can register for one of the other ones, and they'll be sent a link and they can sit through that. If that's something they want to do, fine. If not, again, this TIM team meeting will be recorded, so they can listen to it, and then they can get a hold of whoever they want to if they've got questions after going through the recording. Next slide, please. Maybe yes. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the last federal highway figures that we had when we put these presentations together was October 5th. They did issue new numbers, I think Monday of. So they've gone up a little bit for us. I can't speak for any other states, but there's numbers as far as in-person training for South Carolina. You can see 7,344, 944 web-based training. Just to let you know, the web-based training, you don't get the law enforcement certification and you don't get Fire Academy credit on the transcript. So that's, and it's not a South Carolina class. It's a generic Federal Highway Administration class. So the South Carolina class is sponsored and paid for by South Carolina Department of Transportation. And we were able to get those other certifications for everybody participating. Next slide, please. You know, how critical is this training? Well, we are right now, as of Monday, we ticked up 0.1%. So we're at 59.3%. Our goal this year is 60%. And, you know, that's wonderful, depending on whether you're a glass half full or half empty person. But at 60%, that still means at least 4% of the responders in this state have not received this training. And it doesn't matter if you're a rookie cop or a brand new firefighter or the chief or the sheriff or what. If there's a possibility of you stopping at a traffic incident at an MVC, we need to make sure we're all playing off the same sheet of music. So people need to go through at every rank and every level, need to go through this training so that we're all familiar with, you know, where our responsibilities lie, where we should be, where we shouldn't be, how to set up properly, how to be safe. We're still getting way too many incidents where we're losing people. Of course, last Friday, we buried a Greenville County Sheriff's deputy who was struck and killed during a traffic stop. We've lost 2 tow operators out in Montana on I-90. They were both hit by a pickup truck attempting to avoid colliding with a tractor trailer that had slowed down. I mean, these people are driving crazy, absolutely nuts. And I'm preaching to the choir. You all know that it's not getting any better out there. We don't need 740 some odd troopers. We need 1,400 troopers. We need a lot more law enforcement agencies to do more enforcement and to be more visible. I think if we got a lot more silver cars out in the interstate, we're going to have people start to slow down a little bit. And the cost of each fatality, it far exceeds the cost of hiring a few law enforcement officers. And that's something that we need to maybe look at down the road. The other thing is the slow down, move over law in this state is terribly vague. So look for a push on that, whatever agency you're with, look the next little while. We want to get the law to be a little more specific. It is so vague right now that a lot of officers have stopped writing tickets for it because the courts are just throwing the tickets out due to the vagueness of the wording in the law. So we're going to look at refining that, hopefully. So anyway, we're sitting at 59.3. Hopefully we'll still hit that 60% by the end of the calendar year. We're working on it. Next slide, please. There it is. All right, so what do we got? York County, local statistics as of the 18th. So that's as of the 18th. Now, let's see, have I got an update since then? No, so the 18th, these are the county numbers. York County fatalities on the roadway, 24. Lancaster, you can see, I don't have to read all this stuff out to you. You can see the deadliest counties in the bottom half. I mean, Greenville's at 61. And that floats around a little bit when you look back a few years. You know, last year they were at 57, 51 the year before, 56. So Greenville's that doggone stretch of I-85 up there, Greenville, Anderson, Greenville, Spartanburg, Cherokee County. That is just a nasty road. Spartanburg's at 46. Then you go down towards the coast, Horry County, 46, and Berkeley and Charleston sitting at 45. Next slide, please. So when we put this together for the presentation, the last numbers we had showed 799. So based on 799 statewide fatalities, York County was sitting at 24. So where was York last year? They were at 42. That's a significant improvement. 30 in 2018 and 21 in 2017. So 42 last year down to 24 this year. I mean, one is one too many, but that is a significant improvement. Lancaster County, sitting at 13. They were at 17 last year. They were at 9 in 2018 and 14 in 2017. So the numbers, that just float all over the place with some of this stuff. And Chester's been pretty consistent. And again, 1 is 1 too many, but they're at 10 this year. They were at 8 last year, 9 the year before, and 15 in 2017. So their numbers have gone down a bit, which is excellent. Now, we said 799 as of the 27th. So these numbers were prior to that. As of the 27th, which is yesterday, we had 752 fatal crashes. Last year, 760. So we are down 8 fatal crashes. However, last year at this time, as of the 27th, we had 823 fatalities. This year, we are up 15. We've had 838 fatalities as of yesterday. So the numbers are starting to spike, and that's just not good news. Again, we need, and I'm not blaming anybody here. I wish we had twice as many law enforcement officers out there doing some, A, just being visible, and B, doing some enforcement. That's important because we got to cut down on this stuff. There's way too much on our roads. Next slide, please. So I get porch along here, and you're going to enjoy this next presentation. We're going to see some interesting videos and talk about a subject near and dear to my heart, and I know it is to Kevin's heart as well. So Kevin, I'll pass the microphone on to you, sir.
Okay, Jeff, thank you. Can you all hear me? Jeff?
Yeah, I got to remember I'm the Jeff that's got the live mic. Yes, we can. You're good.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Kevin Smith. I'm a retired law enforcement from the metropolitan Atlanta area. Put 29 years in, left as a watch commander lieutenant and an assistant SWAT team commander. Traffic incident management, as Jeff Allen said, I am passionate about because we're losing way too many people out on the road. The best thing we can do is using quick clearance strategies and tactics to get first responders out of the road more quickly so that you're not there when the D driver comes through and wants to try to hit somebody or inadvertently tries to hit somebody. We'll go to the next slide, please. Distracted driving. We see this type of behavior every day. It's talking on the cell phone, makeup, shaving, writing, texting, eating. We see it every day. NHTSA estimates that 94% of the motoring public drives distracted at some point during their trip. At least once, at some point during that trip. When you consider that close to 10 out of 10 drivers are distracting at some point on their trip, you can see how dangerous it is out there on the road. And distracted driving isn't just the cell phone. It's anything that takes your attention away from the roadway. Next slide, please. Is this a common occurrence in your vehicle? Part of our job as first responders require us to look away from the road, especially for law enforcement. Fire service and EMS typically have 2 people or more in the vehicle. The right seater in the fire truck, fire apparatus, or the right seater, the tech who's riding tech that day on the ambulance, can run the laptop, can run the radio and so forth, and leave the driving typically just to the apparatus operator or the driver. But law enforcement typically rides single in the car. It's just them. So looking at that computer, trying to keep what's going on, getting the information off of there is something that law enforcement has to do on a daily basis. Next slide, please. The agencies have become reliant on computers. Even though public safety officers, we're all maybe legally exempt from the distracted driving laws, we're not immune from the effects of physics and from the effects of physiology. like I said, we've become relying on computers to push out lookouts, information on calls, et cetera. Some officers are told the info is in the call when they ask for it over the radio. I understand we want to keep the radio frequency clear for emergency traffic, but in my personal opinion, it's much safer to ask for that lookout, to ask for that address again while you're operating a vehicle than it is to try to look and spend 3 or 4 seconds finding it on the screen of the laptop. And that's something that each agency has to work out between their road officers, their boots on the ground, and their dispatch personnel. Be respectful, obviously. Be professional when you're on the radio asking for information. But if you need it over the radio, ask for it. You know, never compromise your safety or the safety of the motoring public by trying to read the laptop screen while driving. We have all done it, but it's not a safe option. Obviously the laptop is the primary method of information delivery in most public safety agencies, but that radio, it may be old school technology, but it's an important feature also. Next slide, please. Studies have shown audio stimuli take precedence over visual stimuli in the human brain. Many people say, well, I can multitask, or I can do this or that, but your brain prioritizes those signals. So when we attempt to multitask or pay attention to more than one thing, our visual range will decrease, or what we actually see doesn't decrease, but what our brain processes decreases. This may go back to prehistoric days when it was more important to hear that saber-toothed tiger than to see it. By the time the caveman saw it, it was probably too late for him. So drivers distracted by cell phone use will see significantly less than drivers not on the cell phone. That's what this graphic right here shows. On the left is an undistracted driver looking out of the windshield of their car, and what part of the road that the eyes not only see all the stimuli, but process. The right-hand slide is a driver who is using the GPS or texting or messing with his phone. And you can see that he only sees about 40% of the road that he would see normally if he wasn't driving distracted. And people say, well, I'm using hands-free, so it doesn't affect me. That's not true. As a matter of fact, research, people like National Institute of Health, NHTSA, National Insurance Institute, they have all over the last, since cell phones came out 25 years ago, 30 years ago, they used to do studies showing hands-free versus handheld. But after about 10 or 12 years of doing that, they realized that there was no statistical difference in the amount of distraction between the two. Let me say that again. There was no statistical difference between a hands-free operation mode and holding it up to your head operation mode. So when you start talking about, well, it's no different than carrying on a conversation in the car. You're right. It is no difference than carrying on that conversation in the car, because that audio conversation in the car with a passenger can distract you just as much as a hands-free telephone conversation on that cell phone. Next slide, please. The next slide we're going to show is a video of a bicyclist that has a helmet cam. He pulls up to a stop sign and starts looking both ways, waiting for traffic to let him in. Jeff, if we could, there we go. So he's sitting at the stop sign, he's looking at traffic, When he looks to the right, he sees a peculiar Missouri police car coming. Well, sorry guys, the video isn't playing very well today. But what happens is this police officer is coming down the road and is going to turn left onto the road that the bicyclist is coming off of. But what you don't see and what you don't hear is that when he goes to make his turn, he turns directly into the stopped bicyclist, where the bicyclist has to almost jump off his bike and he's yelling at the officer before he gets hit. The officer was looking at his phone. And that's what the bicyclist says. Officer, you were looking at your phone. You weren't looking at the road. This type of stuff is what happens every day to regular citizens, but it also happens to us as first responders. We'll try the next video and see if it will play. If it won't, I'll just tell you what's going on. Okay, Jeff, it's not gonna play. The next video is talking about two 18-year-old daughters who were struck and killed by state trooper. The state trooper was responding to a call, responding to a crash call, something that we do every day. But he was running 126 miles an hour on the interstate. He was talking on the cell phone to his girlfriend while he was responding. And he was sending a message asking for directions on the laptop as to where the call exactly was. On so many levels, this crash was preventable. The trooper hit the girl's car, basically ran right through them, killed them both probably instantly. But there's no excuse to be driving 126 miles an hour to any call, right? If you can't get there safely, you're just part of the problem. You're not part of the solution. You're running code. You don't need to be talking to your girlfriend or doing other things that are going to distract you, because running code is probably the most single dangerous thing you do as a public safety officer. And then also looking at the laptop going that fast. 126 miles at 60 miles an hour, you're traveling 88 feet per second. So 126 miles an hour, he's probably traveling 130, 140 feet per second, which means every second he's going almost 2/3 of the football field. Even if he looks down for 2 seconds at his laptop to try to figure out where he's going and back up, he's already gone almost a football field and a half distance. It's just not safe to do. Jeff, if you'll skip the next video, and we'll go to the suggestions to prevent a crash. Again, all of the videos will be posted on the South Carolina TIM website. I highly suggest you watch them. I think the videos are very impactful and will help drive home the point we're talking about. Again, at the end of the day, suggestions to prevent a crash. Use the radio. It's old school technology, but get the information you need from the radio. Close that laptop lid to make it less appealing. That's just even when you're just on normal patrol. If you're driving, you don't need to be messing with the laptop. There is technology out there that can GPS based that can lock the computer so that whatever screen is up and showing, you continue to see it. So if you receive the call and you hit that you're en route, you can see the information, but you can't try to manipulate it. You can't send data. You can't send messages and so forth. So that technology is really good. At the end of the day, if you have to use that, pull over to the laptop, pull over to the side of the road. As a watch commander, the vehicle I didn't have long gun racks mounted in the front of it. I drove a Tahoe, and I had a gun vault in the back. So when it came to hot calls or priority calls where people were armed, instead of rushing to the call, pulling up, and then trying to get my long gun out of the back, I would, as soon as dispatched on it, I would pull over to the shoulder of the road, go and get my long gun out of the vault, bring it up front with me, and then drive to the call. So when I got to the call, I was prepared. When I got to the call, I had what I needed. So if you got to pull over to get to the call safely, go ahead and pull over. Next slide, please. The next big push through NHTSA and Federal Highway and so forth is going to be in December 16th through January 1st. It's the Drive Sober or Get Pulled Over campaign mobilization. Hopefully your law enforcement agencies will be involved in that. Also, National Safety Council the Distracted Driving Awareness Month is usually April of every year, but due to the pandemic, they had postponed it till October. So all this month of October, National Safety Council, Federal Highway, and other agencies have been pushing the distracted driving awareness. And also in November is the National Traffic Responder Awareness Week. Comes up, I believe it's the second week of November. You can go to NHTSA.gov, you can go to trafficsafetymarketing.gov, or you can look up through U.S. Department of Transportation, the National Traffic Responder Awareness Week. Next slide, please. Okay, that concludes my presentation. Hopefully, if you have any questions, you can post them into the chat or the Q&A in the Cisco WebEx events software. If not, you can reach me at my email, which is Kevin, KEVIN.R.Smith@parsons.com. Or you can reach out to Jeff Allen or Jeff Corbin with the South Carolina TIM Network. If they don't know the answer and I don't know the answer, we'll find somebody who does and get you the right information. I appreciate y'all's attention today, and hopefully y'all have learned something. Jeff Allen, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, good information. It just reminds me of a chief officer with a former department of mine busting through a red light in an intersection on the radio, thinking that his lights would do the trick for him, and he just about got T-boned. And we had a discussion when we got back in the station, and his answer was he needed more emergency lights on his Dodge Ram pickup truck. My answer was, no, you need to get off the radio, change the pitch as you approach the intersection on your siren, and pay attention to the intersection and come to a complete stop before you go through a red light. I mean, we all get distracted on the radio, many different things that we can get distracted with. So that's, and it can be deadly for any of us. So yeah, that's extremely important information. Thanks for sharing that, Kevin. Talk about important information. We're going to hear now from Jay Cox. He's an environmental health manager on the emergency response unit, or with the emergency response unit with DHEC. And, sit down and enjoy this, because this is some good information. Jay, it's all yours.
Jeff, just want to make sure you can hear me.
Yes, sir. Real good.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm Jay Cox. I'm with the South Carolina Department of Health and Environmental Control. I'm out of the Myrtle Beach office. I'm currently the environmental response coordinator for our area, which includes Horry, Williamsburg, and Georgetown County. So next slide, please. And so this presentation is pretty well meant to provide some general information on DHEC's environmental. We used to be emergency response. Our name has recently changed to environmental response, so I do get it mixed up a little bit from time to time as well. But our environmental response is we respond to releases or spills, and each county or region in the state will have somewhat different resource capabilities available to them, which include things like DOT and county. And we'll move to the next slide. So initial notifications. We typically get a call in. Some incident has occurred, and our call will come into our Division of Environmental Response, and we manage a 24-hour reporting line for chemical releases, oil spills, fuel spills, things of that nature. Notifications can be made toll free using the number 1-888-481-0125. Usually we would like to have, if the emergency management department or 911 dispatch, whoever contacts us, we do like to try and get the contact information for who that first responder is on scene: incident commander, battalion chief, highway patrol officer. So we can make contact with them, or if need be, we'll provide our telephone number so dispatch can notify that first responder to contact us. Or however that works out, and again, that'll be different. That can be different from different areas of the state. Next slide. on-scene coordinator. So once we receive a report, the closest regional on-scene coordinator, that would be the person that's on call at that time, would be dispatched by our Department of Environmental Response. And we're to make our way to the scene to kind of conduct an initial assessment and what's occurred. If we find there are some additional resources we may need, we'll call back through to our central office duty officer and do any requests for any additional resources that we feel we might need once we kind of get there and kind of see what's going on. Next slide. So DEAC responsibilities en route to the scene. We are trying to, again, make contact with those first responders that are there to determine size, extent, and nature of the release. We're going to inform that first responder, be it the incident commander or law enforcement, of our ETA to the scene, and any other things that how's our best approach, where do we need to park, how can we stay out of your way. We don't want to cause any added stress to any of the law enforcement that there's trying to do traffic control. So we do want to try and be as helped as much as possible. So we'll try to get some information to them to help as well. So coordinate with the responsible party. That would be it a truck accident, a 18-wheeler overturn, it would be the truck owner or trucking company, and we'll be trying to contact them to start to gather information of if they have a cleanup contractor that they typically use to perform spill cleanup and handle any of the release material and deal with any of the contaminated area and any grass, soil, or other things that may have been impacted by the spill. Next slide, please. DEAC responsibilities on scene. We are there to basically ensure the environmental releases are controlled at the source. That means basically whatever was spilling has been stopped, contained. Whatever has been spilled is not getting off-site, or we're trying to keep it from getting to ditches or waterways or streams or get too far away to where it cannot be recovered and cleaned up appropriately and taken and disposed of appropriately. Next slide, please. Other additional information we'd like to gather: what time did it occur, materials that were released, how much was released, any known hazards of the material, are there any safety data sheets available, any manifest shipping papers available on it, do we have a responsible party that's there at the scene, and do we have a cleanup contractor that is en route to the scene to effectively start a cleanup. I have basically dealt with every one of these questions the last 2 to 3 days. So it's pretty standard when we get a call, and we usually go through those questions about every call we get. Next slide, please. Other identification information. Again, identifying the extent, the volume, impacted areas or areas that could potentially be impacted. So that would be part of the containment. We're trying to contain it so it doesn't get to another area, so we have to deal with more impacts in another location. If we have a responsible party on site, we're going to try and contact all their or get all their contact information, company name, addresses, phone numbers. The insurance company basically relates back to a lot of times the company has cleanup contractors that are on call with them, and so we're trying to find out who that cleanup contractor is, and their possible arrival time, their capabilities. Will they be able to do what's needed once they get on site? And then we'll be relaying any details of the incident impact. That would be their responsibility as far as the cleanup. Next slide. Responsible party is not on site, or we don't know of a responsible party at that moment in time. So we're going to be trying to discover who might be responsible. We'll be using information that we may get from the highway patrol, driver's license, license tag on the vehicle that caused the accident, any kind of DOT information that may be available on the truck, any type of, we do use apps on our phone to try and help with some information. And we can kind of go back to our central office duty officer and provide what we've been able to gather to them. And they can also try to help us, track down and locate a responsible party if we don't have one immediately available there. Next slide. So what we're looking at as far as cleanup, we're looking for that responsible party to basically make sure they have done the cleanup and disposal properly, which means any hazardous items have been identified and taken to the proper disposal facility, making sure that what's been spilled is what was supposed to be in the truck, so proper manifest, shipping papers, and then identifying any receptors. That's where we want to make sure that we try to minimize any impact to creeks and waterways, ponds, soil, anything that could further impact the environment later on. And we'll do some follow up if a spill or something is large. Maybe some testing, maybe soil removal and remediation that we have to do. And so when we're looking at that, that is the responsible party that is going to be doing that kind of work, and we're just ensuring that they've got the proper means to do it effectively. Next slide. So what DEAC is not responsible for, evacuations, we don't really call the evacuation. We may provide input or data for someone to make an informed decision on that. Traffic control, we leave, that's the highway patrol or local law enforcement will do that. Medical services, that's the EMTs and ambulance, public safety, fire department, and roadside cleanup and other cleanup is typically going to be that responsible party. We do have some DOT, they do have some capability to put down some sand sometimes, and so you do have some county utilities that are able to assist sometimes, but the cleanup part of it will basically be handled by the responsible party and their cleanup contractor. Next slide. This is just some idea of what some chemical releases may look like when a first responder arrives on scene. Next slide. And so you got a 18-wheeler tractor trailer. It's had an accident, and we have some barrels on the road, and so this is where we're looking at manifest and shipping papers. We'll be looking at labels on the barrels as long as it's safe to, and trying to identify any hazards that would be that we want the first responders to know about. They may need some information on how it can be handled properly. Is there a possible fire threat? Can this material get wet or not? Can they use foam? And so we're there to try and provide that advice to them if needed in that situation. Next slide. And now some examples of just some fuel releases, which we probably deal with more, at least in this area. And you have another ship carrying truck or 18-wheeler has had an accident. They've probably punctured a saddle tank, most likely. We do have some that have engine failures and release some motor oil. And so we're looking at, what's been impacted. Is it pavement, asphalt, concrete, soil? Did they lose everything? Did they only lose 25 gallons? So all of that goes into the type of response we would be looking at that responsible party for doing an effective cleanup. Next slide. And that's typically what we see most of around here is a punctured or ruptured saddle tank. And they can, they do vary in size, but we're looking at typically more than 50 gallons and 50 to 75 gallons usually. And so it is kind of important where the puncture may have happened. If it happens in the bottom, you may lose all of the fuel. Happens more up toward the top or near the cap, you may not lose quite as much. Next slide. And so sometimes we do have to wait for the truck to be removed from the location to kind of assess and determine what may have been released and what kind of response is going to be needed. Did it impact the roadway and the soil, just the soil? Was it small enough that it was just maintained basically on the highway? Next slide. And so that gets into, what do we do? What does that RP, the responsible party, need to do? Again, in the roadway, looking at sand, soil, dirt, speedy dry, things of that nature to kind of keep the fuel kind of contained, and which can lead to an efficient, effective removal of it. Next slide. And if we have some roadside fuel contamination that could be in soil, or there was a large release, there may be a need for a vac truck to come in and remove large amounts of free product that can't be removed easily with like speedy dry or other forms. And so all of that is taken into account when we're there. And again, that's part of determining whether the RP is going to have a cleanup contractor that is capable of performing those actions to effectively clean up the site. Next slide. So some issues related to cleanup. Some issues deal with if DOT was able to put down some sand. They usually are not going to clean that up, so that's going to be left up to that cleanup contractor and the responsible party. Contractor may not be involved, depends on the amount and the area that was impacted. So it may only just be a small amount of sand that need to be put down. And gasoline will evaporate fairly easily and quickly. And a lot of times gasoline is difficult to actually recover. And sometimes we do have to kind of leave it in place, and it will evaporate fairly quickly. And that sometimes is the best that we can do, depending on what where it's at and other factors and what happened in the incident. Next slide. So the responsibilities of the RP. So they are the one that are responsible for making any required notifications. That relates back to other state federal regulations such as National Response Center, U.S. Coast Guard, if there was some kind of impact to on a dock or a marina, any county officials. So RP is required to make those notifications. They also are responsible for spill containment, contain the release. That would be putting out boom or again sand or other type of measures to keep the release from getting off site as best as possible. And then also cleanup, removal, and making sure that it's been disposed of properly in a proper type of landfill or other type of facility that takes any kind of hazardous material. And that information, once it's been carried to a location like that, will need to be relayed back to us. If I'm the person that initially took the call and I'm working a ERT call, I would be the person that contractor would kind of basically communicate with through that event. Next slide. Next slide. Oh, okay. All right, so our main agency line, 803-898-3432. If there's some general questions that you may have, we hope at some point that this will get back into a face-to-face type meeting. At that point, we think some of our ERT personnel in our counties where these are being held at will be able to attend these and provide this little presentation and have more information that is specific to that area of the state. And also the 1-888-481-0125 would be our kind of 24-hour if you would like to report an oil or chemical spill. And thank you again for the opportunity to present.
Thanks, Jay. Good stuff. All right, so you can see that you can follow on Facebook, facebook.com/SC Tim Network, or Twitter, twitter.com/SC Tim Network. And then, of course, on the bottom right, sctimnetwork.com. You can pull that up anytime and look at the calendar, click on um, anything that's listed on the calendar, and feel free to register if there's a class that you want to take. The Sharp 2 training that we offer all over the state, you're more than welcome to. And it is important, if you're going, as I said earlier, if you want to attend the training, it is important that you register. This presentation has been recorded, will be available on the website. I believe the videos that we are having a little bit of difficulty with on Kevin's presentation will also be, the links will be listed, and you can look at those videos as well. And there's some interesting videos in there. So we encourage you to do that just to support what Kevin was talking about. Extremely critical information. Okay, so here are the two individuals, my partner in crime there, Ray Parker, retired 30 years in the Highway Patrol, now with SCDOT. He's the TIM coordinator for the state, among several other things that he's responsible for. You can see his email and his phone number. And we both work very closely together on this program all over the state of South Carolina. And then you have my email as well, and my phone number on the bottom there. Feel free to get a hold of me if you have any questions or there's anything we can help you with. We are all, as you can tell, we are all very passionate about the topics that we've presented to you today, and we want to make sure that everybody is as safe as possible out there. So on that note, stay safe. We definitely want to talk to you, not about you. So everybody, thanks for being here. Have a great day.